Thank you for tuning in to the Diamond State Crokinole Championship Finals match. This is a Tier 3 National Crokinole Association event, and in this matchup we have first the Smith-Posner brothers, Ari in the red t-shirt, Jonah in the white bucket hat. These brothers are debuting in their first ever Crokinole tournament here since being introduced to the game at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. And up against them on your left is Marc Ponzio from the Brooklyn Crokinole Club, most recently placing second at the Vermont State Championship, and partnered with him Jamie Harter from the Point Crokinole Club, currently ranked 10th in the National Crokinole Association standings. This finals match will be a race to 9 points. The team who first crosses that goalpost will be your 2025 Diamond State Crokinole champion. Some final discussion to figure out who will have the first shot and first hammer of the match. It looks like Ari and Jonah will be kicking off the round, giving Harter and Ponzio the first hammer of this race to 9 points. Ari with the open 20, and we are off to the races. And while we didn't see a lot of aggressive 20s races in the semifinal matches, we know that all the players around the board are very proficient in the open 20s game. So we will see who is the first to miss. Full circle around the board. Ari not breaking under the pressure. Seems a few people have adopted the wristbands that Jamie Harter, I believe, is the one who started them. You'll see on his left hand. Jonah following with another open 20. And Ponzio is the first to miss, leaving a nice backboard for Ari, which he is quick to convert on without the off, although that could be advantageous, as even if Harter scores at 20, which he does not, Jonah now has the option to keep play on the outside, which it looks like he will be doing. Rolling in a little bit, allowing Ponzio to play within the 15 region. Could be a neat 20 there. You saw his shooter going to bump his piece into the 20, but that white piece got to it first, knocking it out of the way. Leaving a tricky shot for Ari here. He wants to be careful not to take his own piece off in the wreckage. Very nice, gets one of them off, demotes the other blue piece into the 10. And I believe both those white pieces might still be in the 15. It could be close. I think that one's actually touching the line, so it'll count as 10 points. But still, up to 20s in the cup right now. Soon to have 2 pieces on the board. Jonah and Ari are in a good position to take the first round. Unless Ponzio and Harter can do something like that. Scoring a neat 20 off the post. No big deal for Marc Ponzio. A little bit of pressure now. There's 3 white pieces on the board, although Ari nearly with an invalid shot, just barely touching that blue piece. I don't think he meant to hit his own first there, but nonetheless, he still made contact with the blue. Harter taking his time with this shot. He needs to do some cleanup. He needs to get in the house. There's a lot to do with only 4 shots left. Gets 2 off. Very nice. And Jonah here, again, going to have to be careful not to take off his own. Further away. Finds that line. Still 2 pieces on the board. And Ponzio not left with many options in terms of getting play into the house. Looking at the score right now, blue only has 5 points total on the board once you cancel everything up. And the Smith-Posner brothers still up a 20. Should be all but set to take this round. Now, Ponzio will have the hammer, but I'm not sure that'll do too much unless Harter can do some significant cleanup here. Curious if he sees the line to the double. Goes for the touch, doesn't get anything off. That could be costly. He's going to leave a lot of work for Ponzio to do on his final shot. I believe that Jonah just does a hit and stick in the 10 on the outside. He should be good to take the round. Yet the only thing would be if Ponzio can somehow get a double on those 2 outside pieces and roll into the 15. They could technically tie with... Yeah, that's tough. I think Ponzio's only good option would be somehow angling in off that piece in the 10, hoping it catches that 5, and rolling into the 15 to end with 30 points on the board, and then canceled out down to 20, tying the round. Not sure if he sees something else, but that's the best thing I see right now. And on the upside, unlike the earlier matches, specifically the ones in the prelim, there is no timer on the final. So Marc has a lot of time to consider what he's going to do with this shot. Looks like he's going for that outside piece. And he misses, giving the Smith-Posner brothers the first 2 points of this race to 9. And again, you'll notice the scoreboard only has part of their last name. That is a correction on our part. The full name for Ari and Jonah, their last name is Smith-Posner. I wasn't able to update the scoreboard, but nonetheless, for you fans keeping up with the new up-and-coming players, that is Ari and Jonah Smith-Posner. Ari left with a backboard here. He went too light, comes up short, invalid shot, goes off the board, giving Harter the opportunity. I thought he was going to mess with that. Instead, he just angles in for the 20. Very nice shot, now up in the cup. Ari and Jonah do have the hammer in this round, but they are down to 20 at this point. Almost 2, but Ponzio went a little bit heavy on that. Heavy isn't the right word. He hit that at the wrong angle. That white piece came back. Wasn't able to drop in. 2 players now unable to get the off. We're getting a bit of a messy board now. 3 pieces in play. Harter with an invalid shot, hitting the post. Now, if Jonah and Ari can get 3 pieces on the board, they'll be in a very good position. I think he forgot about the blue piece. Actually, I'm not sure. I don't know if he had the wrong line, but nonetheless, Ponzio with a double. Just like that, the tables have turned. Ari looking for an angle in. I do think it's there. Very close, just short of the 20. On the upside, heavy enough. Harter won't have an easy time converting a 20 off this. I think he was going for the 20, but lots of action off the post there. For the white piece, a little bit of chaos. Didn't get what he wanted. Jonah and Ari soon to have a few more pieces on the board. They're going to have to, at some point, get a double or roll more pieces into the 15 if they want to cancel out that 20 advantage. Because even if Jonah hits and sticks in the 10 there, they'd have 20 points on the board. But with that additional blue, it won't be enough to overcome the 20's difference. Jonah, I think, was fighting for a follow-through. Loses his shooter in the process, though. Ponzio, think he was pointing out the angle, and I think he'd be better suited to keep it on the outside. The only consideration may be he doesn't want to stay too close to leave a double chance for Ari here. And the other issue is Ari could, in theory, do a single takeout and leave Harter with a tricky shot, but it looks like he's going for the double. That's still not an easy shot for Harter. He might just have to accept that he's taking off his own piece. There might be a way to roll it around, but it could be tough. Yeah, loses his own piece in the process. Not a big deal, because Jonah and Ari still only with 15 points on the board, 5 points short of taking the victory. And we're down to the final 3 shots for each team. Marc rolling up into the 15, pretty close, might be a 20 here for Ari. And he gets it, very nice. Tied up in the cup now. That could be an issue. That could be a really big issue, especially if Harter misses this shot. He does. And we're going to see now Jonah might be going for a 20 here. I'm curious to see what he does. Definitely wants to take out at this point. And whether he gets in or gets away is up to him. Gets the takeout. Stays a little too close to the center. Ponzio should be taking the 20 here, I figure. Although at this angle, that might be further away than I think it is the issue. Ari does have the hammer, so I think Ponzio has to go for it. Off in the 20 to put any kind of pressure on Ari. Doesn't get it. All Ari needs to do is to touch that blue piece. And he gets it off. They win it by 10 points. The Smith-Posner brothers going up 4-0 in this finals match. Ari had the hammer. Jonah will start the third round. This video coverage is provided to you by Tracey boards, the official board builders of the World Crokinole Championships. To learn more, to buy your very own board, go to traceyboards.com. Link is in the description below. Ari draining the third open 20 of the match as we go to Jamie Harter. Jamie is the one who brought the cameras to this tournament and made this video coverage possible, so a huge thank you to him. If you want to see more of the videos he takes, check out the Point Crokinole Club YouTube channel. That link will also be below. Jonah, the first to miss in the 20s race, and Ponzio content to hit and stick in that area where Ari doesn't have many good 20s options. Ari and Jonah are playing against the hammer right now, so there is pressure on them to convert a 20. Unable to get the off, and it doesn't look like that blue piece will be a terribly easy angle in for Jonah. On the upside, Harter staying in, though it looks like Jonah's going for this one. Maybe he does see a line to get in. He does, and he almost drops a 20. I stand corrected. Most certainly there. But not quite, as Ponzio gets a creative off, losing his own piece in the process. And I think that blue piece is just far enough away. It's going to be tricky for Ari to convert here. If he really waxes his pieces, there could be a chance for a drop back. Did that touch is a question, and the answer is no. Ari removes his shooter. Invalid shot, giving Harter an open 20. He makes that mistake hurt. That's tough. Now up at 20 with the hammer. Harter and Ponzio in a great spot right now. Ponzio trying to find his perfect line. Harter points out to the side. Looks like it's there. And it is. Staying in on the 5. Ari needs to bring this in. He cannot afford to have Jonah shooting across the board. He needs it somewhere Jonah can work with on his next shot. And if he can get the 20, all the better. Looks like he was going for it. A little bit too close, so Harter may be left with another conversion opportunity here. A little bit of an awkward angle, but he gets it. Not with the off, but he doesn't need it. Matter of fact, that'll be beneficial because Ponzio can just keep play to the outside. Just like that. And that's perfect because the one lane that's perfect for Ari to angle in with is kind of blocked up by his own piece. But he goes for a bump and run. Again, just a little bit long. We've seen the brothers get very close to hitting some very tricky 20s from angle ins to that bump and run we just saw Ari try to hit. If they really dial in and start getting those, it is going to be a problem for Ponzio and Harter, especially fighting against a 4-point deficit. Although if I were to guess, it looks like Ponzio and Harter will be taking their first 2 points of the finals match. A lot of work for Ari to do here. And looking at the points on the board, I don't think Harter even has to shoot. Yeah, the brothers only have 35 points on the board, and that alone wouldn't be enough to make up for the 20s difference, let alone the other blue pieces on the board. Nonetheless, into the 4th round, Ponzio opening up with a 20. We are off to the races, and the races have ended as Ari comes up short. Maybe an angle-in opportunity here for Harter. Very nice 20. Little to no hesitation on that one as Ponzio and Harter take a 2-20 lead. Ponzio, it looked like he was trying to drop in for the 20 as well to solidify their advantage. Not quite, but again, on the right side away from Ari. A high five between the Smith-Posner brothers. Harter going for that bounce back. That white piece was very nicely posted, so I don't think he was getting the off. But a little bit too close as Jonah is able to convert, catching up in the cup a little bit. Ponzio keeping play in, the damaged piece removed from play. I don't think that blue piece is enough against a post that it's going to cause much troubles for Ari. Sticking in that area and now keeping play away from Harter. We've seen Harter dialed in on his 20s, his touches, and his angle ins. So most likely a good play to keep it away from him at this stage in the game. Jonah taking a second to reset before going for the shot. Might be going for the follow through. He went for it, and again, so close. But a little bit too strong. You saw it lip over the center. An angle away. Ponzio going through the house to the other side. Doesn't look like Ari's going to be able to bring it back in. Yeah, that post was in the way. Now Harter could go for a 20 here. Ponzio pointing out a potentially better angle. That one on the inside, just a little bit closer. The only consideration would be if that outside one is left and is the only one to go for, then it could have been tricky for Ponzio, but who cares about the ifs? Harter dropped the 20. Jonah responds with another one, not letting Ponzio and Harter get too much of an advantage. Ponzio still left with lots to work with and content to stay between the laneway there, forcing Ari to go for a follow-through if he wants anything to drop. Sticking in that spot. We'll see if Harter goes for that closer one now. I think he saw the 20 off this and he really liked it, so we might see him go for that right now. And he gets it. Wow. Harter is on fire. Jonah not happy with that. Left with the open 20 opportunity. Not able to make it drop. That could be costly. Looking at the points on the board right now, the Smith-Posner brothers only have 30 points in play. And down 220s, they are still short 10 points. With one shot left for each player at the table, Ari and Jonah will need something big, but Ponzio with a huge double. That hurts. That could have solidified the round. That may have solidified the round right there. Ari trying to go for the 20. See, he's a little bit frustrated about that one. And most likely we are going to see the score tied up. Yep, there's nothing Jonah can do here. Even a double and a 20 wouldn't be enough. Unless he somehow got a piggyback situation with both his pieces stacked up in the center. But that's a slim to none chance. Nonetheless, Harter and Ponzio catching up, tying the score up at 4-4 now. And we'll see which team takes the lead after this round. Ari going long into the 5th round. Ponzio will have the hammer of this match. Harter with a quick conversion. Up 20 with the hammer. Immediate advantage. Jonah unfazed. And again, given by the name. And if you've seen the other coverage, you know that this tournament was run by the Diamond State Crokinole Club. The runners of this tournament, Jeremy Reed and TJ Howell, were in one of the semifinal matches. So make sure, one, to watch that match, and two, give a huge thank you to that club. If you want to learn more about them, the links to their Facebook page will be in the description below. And thank you again for running such a fantastic event. And we're seeing the finale of that right now with quite the battle. First with the brothers debuting, taking a dominant lead against two very strong players, and then seeing those two very strong players turn around. Very back and forth right now. Ari coming up short. Harter doesn't necessarily need the 20, but he's been dialed in on them. And if they're dropping, you may as well keep shooting them. There's no reason to stop. Strategically, you might want to roll away, sure, but if you can drop a 20, just drop the 20. Why not? And it looks like Ponzio and Harter discussing the best angle to approach this at. And I figure that open, honest communication has been why this team has done so well. If you're able to make suggestions to your partner tell them when they should or shouldn't be going for a shot while keeping it friendly and fun, then you're going to do very well. And Jonah, speaking of being friendly, drops a 20 for the other team. Harter and Ponzio now with a 2-20 advantage, but a chance here for Ari up the right line of his quadrant to catch up in the cup. Goes a little bit strong on the upside. On the closer side of the 20 to Harter, no chances there for him. He opts to roll it ever so slightly away from Jonah, just far enough away. There's no easy 20 opportunity here. And Jonah stays a little bit close, passing the chance over to Ponzio. Ponzio rolling away. I'm pretty sure that's what he was going for on that one. I don't think he was trying to drop the 20. I think that spot is exactly what he wanted. Ari pulling it back off the post. Not on line for a 20, but keeping play kind of near to the center. And that's a chance. Here's the chance that Jonah needs. A little bit off. And Ponzio will be content to keep it to the outside. I think that's in a near perfect spot to make it very difficult for Ari to get back in the house. Yeah, he catches a post there. That was close. Closer than I thought it'd be. On the outside, Harter very content to hit and stick there. Shots inconsequential. Ponzio and Harter will be taking the lead, bringing the score 6-4. And over halfway now to the 9-point goalpost. Harter to open up this round, giving Ari the hammer of, I believe, the 6th round now. Jonah not able to drop the 20 on the upside, not leaving much for Ponzio to work with. And Ponzio's piece is just far enough back that here I'd be very surprised if there's a 20. I think my father would very much disagree and just say, get the wax on the piece and give it a nice touch, but nonetheless, those drop back 20s can be very difficult. Ari doesn't get the off, but keeping his piece on, out in the 5. We'll see Harter most likely try to get into the house. Harter! What the heck, man? Every time I say, yeah, he'll like hit and stick, maybe roll something, he just drops a 20. Everything's a 20. I think that's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm just going to say, whatever you're doing, it's going to be a 20. Jamie Harter showing why he's so highly ranked in the standings right now. Been very successful. He had a good debuting season last year. I believe he was in the running for best new player in the NCAA Tour. And not very new anymore, as he had quite a few accolades under his belt after last season, most notably winning the 2024 Connecticut Crokinole Championship, and a lot of semifinal finishes and final finishes. I believe in the Texas State Championship, the LC3 Championship, and a few others as well. Nonetheless, tied in the 20s Cup right now. 2 pieces. That blue piece is probably, I think it's touching the line. The Smith-Posner brothers working with the hammer right now, and 20 chance for Jonah. See, it looks like he's not convinced it's close enough. I think up the line it's a safe 20. It didn't hit. Wow, that wasn't as close as I thought it was. Ponzio unable to capitalize on the open 20 opportunity. And Ari with a potential double here. He hits, only gets one off, keeping his piece on the line, the 10 and 15, giving Harter a somewhat tricky shot. Harter losing his piece. Jonah looks like he's lining up a double. Although they could just play to the inside for their final shot. They're in a pretty good spot right now, given that they have hammer tied in the cup. It's a little bit of a precarious situation in that it could turn around very quickly on them. And that definitely solidifies their advantage there. Unless Ponzio can drop a 20, and he nearly does. Looking at the shots right now, Ari will have the final shot. He could just play to the outside, but it looks like he's going to go in. Maybe he saw the 20 on the upside. The good news is he's on the right side of the 20 hole. The bad news is it's Harter shooting next, and he's been dropping everything. Unable to drop on that particular shot, though. Jonah will have to deal with that centerpiece. Normally I'd say leave it to Ari, but since it's against a post, Jonah has to deal with it. But Jonah leaves a backboard for Ponzio. He gets to 20. Pressure is suddenly on Ari now. He has to angle in and get a 20 to tie this round. And what a difficult shot. Looks like he was going for the post. Unable to get it. And again, that final shot that Jonah took, that's what he had to do. He had to deal with that middle one rather than Ari, just because it was so close to a post that Ari wouldn't be able to get that off. Jonah drops that first 20. Ponzio, the first to miss. That being said, Ponzio and Harter, nice shot from Ari. Hitting that 2-20 lead now for the Smith-Posner brothers. That being said, Harter and Ponzio are now 1 point away from winning this finals match, which means they would be content with a tie. If they are able to tie the round, they will win this championship match. So a bit more pressure on Ari and Jonah in this round. But if they're feeling the pressure, you wouldn't be able to tell it as they are draining those 20s. Bit more of a race now. Neither team wanting to be the first to miss. I believe that is a full circle now of just open 20s. At least Ari, the first to miss, and leaving a 20 opportunity for Harter. Only issue is the easiest angle is a touch. Harter, though, unfazed. Why am I even saying you might get the touch 20? I need to stop doing that. I am grossly underestimating Harter's skills in this match. And he continues to show me quite bluntly that he's that guy. Very good shot. Bit of pressure on the Smith-Posner brothers as Ari drops a 20 for his opponent. Could be costly as we're over halfway through the shots. A 220 advantage with the hammer for Ponzio and Harter. Jonah comes up short. And we're getting pretty close to the end here, folks. We'll need some big shots out of Ari and Jonah on their final 3 to turn this around. Ari loses a shooter. If Harter hits his open 20, that will seal the match. Can he hit it? Taking his time. Yeah, doing the math here, if they hit another open 20, there's absolutely nothing the Smith-Posner brothers can do. And even if he doesn't, it's still an uphill battle. He hits it. Congratulations to Marc Ponzio and Jamie Harter for winning the 2025 Diamond State Crokinole Championship. Finishing their final shots, you see the handshakes. Congratulations, and what a great battle the Smith-Posner brothers put up, especially in the first ever competitive Crokinole tournament. We hope to see them again, but again, congratulations to both Marc Ponzio and Jamie Harter on such a great performance to win this Tier 3 National Crokinole Association event. Thank you for tuning in. If you like competitive crokinole, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and to check out all the clubs involved in this series. So again, Marc Ponzio from the Brooklyn Crokinole Club, Jamie Harter from the Point Crokinole Club, who provided the cameras, and of course, the Diamond State Crokinole Club based in Delaware that ran this tournament. All those links are in the description below. For now, as always, make it a great day.